Hey family, it's your girl Alexandria J, and welcome back to my channel where we discuss all things purpose, all things healing, and all things growth. So if that interests you, waste no time, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Of course, in my eyes, you're already family, but hitting subscribe will make it official. So what you waiting on? Go ahead and subscribe. Today's video is all about giving my few tips to help you really heal well. Now, if you haven't already seen my last video where I discussed how I recognized I wasn't healed, I will definitely have it linked right about now, so I do recommend you checking that out as it's kind of a precursor to today's video. So you've made the decision to heal. Can I just say that I am so proud of you? That is not an easy decision. The reality of it is, when you walk along this journey of healing, you may lose friendships, and this is a decision that might have taken you a while to come to, right? It is not an easy one to make, so I celebrate you. I am so glad you did it. So if you have made that decision and you want to hear just a few of my personal experience tips on how you can heal well, then make sure you stay locked in and let's jump into the video. Hold up. Alright, so first things first, I am not a professional healer. Does that exist? I feel like I made that up. Is that a real thing? Well, if it is, I am not that. And what I mean by that is these tips that I'm going to go over with you, these are not like the certified tips, like the holy grail items, the only things that will work to make sure that you get healed. Absolutely not. This is just my experience and a few things that I have personally taken into practice, and I really do hope that they help you. So the woman with the issue of blood, right? She had a condition for 12 years. And I want to highlight her really quickly because she was all about getting her healing, okay? She heard that Jesus was coming to town and she was like, I have got to get to the one that I've heard about and that I know and that I believe can make me whole. And what's important to note about her story is she was deemed unclean, right? And in those days, it was a requirement for you. Wherever you went, you had to actually shout, unclean, unclean, I am unclean, so that people knew to stay away from you. In this case, when the woman with the issue of blood was pressing her way through the crowd, she didn't have time for all that, okay? She was not about to be yelling unclean. She was on a mission. She wanted to get healed. So what did this woman with the issue of blood have? She had endurance. And it's important to know that when you're embarking on a journey such as this one, you are going to have to endure. Healing is challenging. It's going to force you to change and break cycles that otherwise would keep you bound. It's uncomfortable. Comfort zones are familiar places, but they are also very dangerous places. A sure way to stay stagnant is by staying in your comfort zone, and you have to know that in order to be free, you're going to have to leave. It's also important to remember that healthy things, healthy people grow, right? So whether we're talking about living organisms such as plants, whether we're talking about human beings, healthy things and healthy people grow. So I just want you to remember that before we jump into our first tip. So the very first tip that I have to help you heal well is get a therapist. Now I'm starting here because this is kind of like somewhat become a taboo topic for especially church people. But because church people like to say, Jesus is a wonderful counselor and he's all you need. Okay, Jesus is all you need, but he also gave us people on this earth to help us to get through this life. And the amazing thing about therapists is they do really help you to dig deeper. They ask hard questions and reflective questions that are going to make you really, dig into those traumatic places and dig into those painful places in order to bring them up so that they can be dealt with and be healed. They also make you face yourself through accountability, and they offer different perspectives. Because the truth is, sometimes we need to see situations a little bit differently because we're not always right. Second tip to help you heal well is examine your circle. Please examine your circle. Your friends matter. We have to learn not to abuse this precious thing called access, right? You have to be able to give it wisely. The people that you choose to grant access to you is a direct reflection of what you feel about yourself. It's a direct reflection of your self-worth and how much you're willing to protect it. Good friends aren't jealous. Good friends pour. Good friends cover. And they frustrate the areas of complacency in your life in order to further push you into your purpose. Good friends also understand that you're on a journey, right? So they understand that, hey, this may take a little bit longer, or hey, I may have to be patient in this area. I may have to offer grace in this area. They understand that, but they're able to support you through that journey as well. You have to make sure that you pray and ask God for kingdom partnerships, for purpose relationships, so that you can be connected to these kinds of people because your circle matters. Third tip to help you heal well is set healthy boundaries. Set yourself up for success by realizing and identifying those things that are off limits in conversation, that are off limits in jokes, and do this with all your relationships, right? With your friendships, with your family members, to avoid over explaining yourself later and causing you a whole bunch of frustration. And the cool thing about setting healthy boundaries is this also helps you to trust yourself more, right? Because you're like, okay, I can actually stick to some boundaries that I set. I can actually be confident that if I set a boundary for myself, I'm not going to waver from it. And I'm going to make sure that I hold myself and the people in my life accountable for these boundaries that I have set. It's a power move. It's like, you know what? I trust myself to be able to make good decisions concerning my emotional well being and my emotional health. Number 4 is find and acknowledge your triggers. Now, acknowledging your trigger is really saying, okay, I feel this pain. I can acknowledge that I am not okay. I can acknowledge that this did in fact hurt me. So we have to stop, especially us ladies. Okay, can we be real for a second with us ladies? You know how sometimes your man or somebody, they be like, okay, are you okay? Like, what's wrong with you? Be like, I'm fine. Girl, you're not fine. You're triggered. And you need to be able to be open about that and be able to communicate clearly so that you can heal. Just be honest, especially if it's a boundary, like something that we talked about in number 3, because honestly, it's going to start with self-discovery and then it's going to lead to acceptance. So just be honest. You're not okay. So what I just discussed, those are kind of like emotional, mental triggers, right? But I do want to identify another type of trigger. An example could be something as simple as social media. So for me, when I made the decision that I wanted to heal, something that I knew that I struggled with was comparison. Now, many may not agree, but I am totally here for the block game. I'm here for the unfriend game if you feel like you have to do that. But just know that there is a thin line between that and then becoming bitter very quickly. So you have to be careful. If it's easier for you to just turn it off, delete the apps from your phone, then do that. Whatever is going to help you to make sure that you heal and you don't misstep and fall back into this cycle, right, in your mind. Or maybe for you, it's not social media. Maybe it's music, right? While you're learning to heal and you're going on this journey, maybe you've realized I can't listen to a certain type of music anymore. And that's okay. No matter what the kind of trigger it is that we're talking about, though, just make sure that you recognize it and that you're honest about it so that you can really progress. Number 5 is give yourself grace. Just like I'm going to give you grace if you haven't already subscribed to my channel.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
There's going to be difficult days. There's going to be great, fantastic days. This thing is not going to happen overnight, right? Sometimes it's going to be a slow progression. Those difficult days do not define your progress. You did not go backwards, nor did you forfeit your chance at healing. The enemy wants you to think that, right? Because he wants you to give up. He wants you to stop. But you did not forfeit your chances of getting healed. Please get yourself back up. Keep going. Just means you had a bad day, and that's fine. That's going to happen. It's okay to cry during this process if you're feeling like, you kind of just need a release, you need a little bit of cleansing, that's okay. But it's also okay to laugh, and neither one of these are taking away from your journey or taking away from your healing process. So if you have a joyous moment, if you have a joyous day, laugh, be grateful, smile through that. That's going to help you a lot. Allow yourself to remember that this is a beautiful journey. And that's going to be one that your future children, your future grandchildren, that they are going to thank you for. If the Lord is giving you grace, you can give yourself grace too. Now, number 6 is at the bottom of the list, but please don't think that that means that this is not important. I didn't put these like in a really particular order per se, so please understand that this is extremely gravely important, and that is develop a worship and a prayer life. Worship gets the attention off of you, right? In worship, you are forced to not think about who you are. You're forced to not think about your opinions of yourself. You're forced to not think about the opinions that other people may have of you. And you really are just supposed to focus on God. So that is the easiest way. If you really feel like, you know what, I'm having a bad day, I'm thinking too much, okay, then you need to get yourself into the presence of God. You need to worship because that's going to get all the attention off of you and fully on the one who can change your situation. And prayer is communication with Him, right? So He's going to instruct you, He's going to guide you, He's going to give you the tools that you need if you would only listen during this time of prayer. And number 7 is just be consistent. So if you feel like you need to get a routine, get one and stick to it. But no slip ups if you fall, no 2 days in a row mishaps. Like, it's okay if you fall one day, if you miss a day, but make sure that you get yourself back up and get back on track, because consistency is going to make all the difference. For example, if you say, okay, in order for me to develop the worship and prayer life that I really want, every morning at 7 a.m., I'm going to get up, I'm going to read my Bible, I'm going to turn my worship music on, and that's just going to be that. Then do that. Be consistent and make sure that you stick with it. So I truly hope and pray that you've enjoyed this video and took even just one thing away that's really going to help you to heal well. Again, I am no expert, but these are just things that have and are still working for me. You deserve to be healed. You can be healed. And I am believing God with and for you that you will be healed. Thanks so much again for watching this video. Please go ahead, like, and subscribe. I love y'all, and I really mean it. Can't wait to see you in my next video. Bye.